Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 146 of Discourse and Magic with Haim Goldenberg. Haim is a mentalist in Toronto, originally born in Israel, and he is absolutely incredible. He created Cryptext. He has his own show, Goldmine, which was created years before, this big, huge boom of magic television show. So he's got a lot of background in it, and we talk in this episode a lot about scale. So how to make your magic play bigger, how to play for bigger audiences, how to change the mindset of your business and marketing, to play for bigger audiences, and how to think about where you are in your career and maybe what you should be focused on. So I think you're going to love the episode. I learned a lot. Chaim's an incredible performer, and he's really thrived in business as well. So there's a lot to learn from him. Here he is, episode 146 of Discourse and Magic with Haim Goldenberg. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Discourse and Magic. My name is Jonah, and we are here with a very special guest, someone who is not only an incredible entertainer who I've seen really blow the mind of rooms, but he's also a local performer and someone whose name has been, you'll hear a little bit about it. We are here with the one and only Haim Goldenberg. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I am doing very well. Let's start at the very beginning. So first of all, it's been a little while since I've done a guest interview in person. So it's very nice for me to be able to do this. Usually it's over Skype. This is very nice. So let's start at the very beginning. How did you get into magic? How did you get into performing?
Okay, so first of all, I'm from Israel originally, and I started, the first magician that I saw was Uri Geller. I saw him on TV, and as a kid, I believed he is real. I really believed.
Yeah.
Especially...
Everyone did.
Yeah, everybody did.
Everyone did.
And I wanted to be like him. As a 6 years old, and I tried to imitate him. I took spoons, I tried to bend it, and of course it didn't work.
But you mean like you would stare at the spoon and hope?
Yes,
right.
For long sometimes. Yeah. And of course it didn't work. But one day I went to the kitchen and I took a spoon, and this is real story. I held the spoon and suddenly I felt something. The moment I felt something, I closed my eyes, and it continued to bend in my imagination. When I opened my eyes, I saw that the spoon actually bent. For me, it was a very important moment because for a kid, that something like this happened, it's like it's a big deal.
True. It's real.
It's all
now.
true.
It's finally.
And in a moment, I will tell you the real story behind it. But since this moment, I believe that I'm the real deal, and I started to do crazy stuff. Like I tried to hypnotize people in the streets and read their minds. And
when you say you tried to do that without training,
you just
nothing. Looked at people and said, "You're asleep," and just see what happens.
And 90% of the time I was wrong, but 10% I was right.
Interesting.
And I was right because it's coincidence.
Right.
During the time, I understand that it's not real powers, and I understand how everything works, and I understand that it's to be able to do it 100%, you need to know magic. So I learned magic. I was a magician for maybe 10 years. I did everything. I did doves, illusions, everything, cards, manipulations. After 10 years, I decided that it's enough magic. I want to do only show for adults, and I became a mentalist. It was very fast paced when I became a mentalist.
Quick switch.
Quick switch.
Yeah.
And yes, I became a mentalist. Now, the interesting story about how I bent the spoon when I was 6 years old, it was my mother, she was tired seeing me trying to do this every time. So she took all the spoons in the drawer and she bent them. So she believed that I will see this and I said, okay, that's enough.
It worked?
It worked, yes.
It worked.
For
so there's a few really interesting things there. So the first is I have a similar story. You know the movie Matilda? With the girl who moves stuff with her mind. I watched it as a kid, and I was trying to close my door with my mind, and the lights in the hallway turned off. And I thought that I was God, but my mother just turned the lights off in the hallway. It wasn't even, she didn't know what I was doing. She just turned the lights off in the hallway.
Nice.
But I thought that was it. And I also remember watching David Copperfield doing Grandfather Aces, and me holding aces and moving my hand over it as if it would magically change. And the same idea, and we've heard a few different people talk about that kind of thing on the podcast. Did you find yourself growing disappointed? Like when you learned that it was magic, you had to do it. Did you find that, there's a secret, I can do this now? Or were you disappointed that it's not real?
The reason I wasn't disappointed is because it took me a while to it was very slowly, the process was very slowly to understand that it's not real. Because at the beginning, I was sure it's real.
Right.
And when I started to read people, and sometimes it worked, I said, oh, maybe it's real, maybe not. So the process to understand that it's not real, it was long. It was 2 years or something like this.
Right.
So I wasn't disappointed.
Very slowly sort of learning that it's not real. Cool.
And then immediately I started to learn magic. So I was very excited about the magic tricks. So yeah, it was a great process for me.
Is there a reason why you don't think that you went right towards mentalism and towards like Uri Geller, but instead you went to do 10 years of other magic first?
Yes, because when I was younger, most of the magicians, no mentalists, almost no mentalists.
It was Uri Geller and eventually Darren Brown, but
when I was younger, Darren wasn't
even.
So Uri Geller and Kreskin, but I didn't hear about Kreskin then. Yeah. So it was only Uri Geller. In Israel, there was another mentalist, but most of them, magic was very popular. It was the access to magic was easier,
right?
And I was intrigued by magic. It was very nice. I liked all the ideas behind the tricks and the creative part. So it was very intriguing. And magic became very... I like it very much. I still love magic very much. Unfortunately, I cannot do it anymore because I try to sell myself as a mentalist. But I love magic.
Why did you make... You said that you made the switch because you wanted to perform more for adults. But there are magicians that do perform for adults. So why was it that you went towards mentalism and also decided to go all in? Like you could have done some tricks that are mental and some magic, but you sort of said, I am a mind, I have powers now, I am a mind, and so on. Why that direction?
Okay. So first of all, very important, I never sell myself as a person with the powers. Right. Never. Even though I know people after my show, they think that I have powers, and it's okay, it's up to them. But when I start the show, I say, no power, everything is bullshit. It's very important to mention. So it was this switch was very quick, actually. So one day I said, okay, I don't want to do any more kid shows. I didn't like it. I got to the point that it was very boring for me. Not because of the magic, because of the kids. I didn't want to do this thing. So I decided, okay, I have to do a switch and do shows for adults. So I consult with other magicians that do only adults. One of them was Lior Manor. He was my mentor, very good friend and mentor. And he told me, try to do only mentalism. I tried because I listened to him. I didn't know what is the difference, what is magic and mentalism together. I didn't know. But I fell in love. I started to do mentalism only, and I really loved it. At a certain point, I felt wrong to do magic with mentalism. And again, it's something very personal. It's not wrong to do mentalism magic, but for me, for my character and for my presentation on stage, I decided and I felt that mentalism by itself was much stronger.
Is there a reason, or it's just the way you feel?
Just feeling. And this is how I work. I just feel it, and I see the demand, of course, of the audience. It's very important to listen and to see what people want to see. And there was a point that people asked me, do only mind reading, do only mentalism, do only this. And
that's when it bemes clear to you to what works
and
best.
I felt better with this. I felt better.
Did you feel in any way like there was a giant loss? Like it feels like you picking up a giant magic bucket and dumping it in the garbage and buying papers and pencils and Rubik's Cubes instead. So did it feel like, what did I spend all this 10 years when I'm going to do this now? Or did it almost feel like the next logical step towards becoming, a professional entertainer or whatever?
It wasn't a loss because I never quit magic. I still do magic. I still buy new tricks. I still into this world because I love it. The thing is that magic became my hobby and mentalism my career and professional thing. Right. So I never left magic.
That's interesting. And it's also very cool that you find a way to limit the character in which you're performing so that it's much clearer for audiences and things like that, but you also have full joy in magic. It's not like you have to dump it in the garbage. Talk to me a little bit about the way that those changes affected your career. So when you started and you were doing magic, were you full-time doing magic? Were you kind of doing it on the side for kids' birthday parties, and then it was mentalism that made you realize you were full-time, or out the gate you were performing, entertaining? And
no, it's not right away. So let's do this. I started magic very young. I did birthday parties like everybody do as a kid.
Yeah.
After when I was 18 in Israel, you go to the army. So I went to the army 3 years. So nothing, no magic, nothing at all. Can do nothing. 21 years old, I decided that I want to do magic, but I wasn't sure, because I need money to live. At this point, most of the people, young people in Israel after the army, they go traveling and
they go to Thailand or something. Yeah.
So, but I found a work at the magic shop in Israel.
In Israel. The one in Tel Aviv.
In Tel Aviv, okay. Yes. So I started to work at a magic store, and very fast I met a lot of magicians, and I saw a lot of magic tricks, and every week new tricks that we bought. So this point was very, very quick. I became kind of professional.
Right. Because you learned a lot in a very short amount of time.
I learned so much. But
it was like the army, but for magic.
kind of. But boom, 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 very quick. And then I get enough money. And at the same time, I also created my own stuff. Very simple tricks.
Right.
And I created a very nice trick with the ring, with the ink that you put in your hand. I make like thousands of them. And me and Igal Mesika, good friend of mine, we decided to travel to United States for 6 months or something like this, and to sell the tricks in conventions.
Oh, cool.
So I sold out. Everything was very big success. But also in those 6 months, I learned so much because I met almost every day we met magicians and we saw shows. So I think it took me 1 year after the army to become like a professional magician and to understand what magic is. I was lucky that it was very intense. When I came back to Israel, I started to perform. And now I realized that it's not only to be professional in magic, you need to know how to do marketing, how to sell yourself. That this is something totally different.
Totally. And it's interesting that you said that. Did you find it a financial risk when you did the switch from magic to mentalism? And the reason why I'm asking is a lot of people right now in their magic are making changes. There's a lot of professional magicians and a lot of people are looking at their magic and they're going, I'm performing like it's 1980 and I want to perform like it's 2018. And one of the things that's really interesting is it feels like on a dime you changed who you're performing for, your character, what you're doing, and a lot of different things like that. And I'm trying to put some pieces together. So if somebody's listening to this and they've grown, like they don't like their character and they want to make a big change, I want them to see how possible it is, or I want them to see what some of the real struggles are that you went through when you changed.
So yes, the answer is definitely yes. I took a big risk, and I don't think people can succeed, or it's very difficult to succeed if you don't take risk. And it's very important to take risk, very important to change and to adjust yourself to your audience or to the demand. I took risk many times in my life, in my magic career, and I really recommend everybody to do it.
Right.
This is the only way to be, if you want to be big. If you want to keep it as a hobby or you have other job to do, don't take risk. But if you want to do it as a career, you have to take risk, change, renew your stuff every time. It's very difficult, but it's your...
And the way that you're saying it, it's interesting because a lot of people might be listening and think like, I am taking risks. I'm going on stage and performing my magic, right? But a lot of the times you're going on stage and performing someone else's magic, or you're going on stage and doing the same thing that you did 10 years ago, and the script hasn't changed, the moves haven't changed, nothing's changed. So sometimes taking risks is more than just going on the stage. That's the first step, right? And then the next step is taking risks in changing your effect, changing who you are, your character, and things like that.
Yes, and I will tell you about 2 risks that I took that was very important in my career. So I was a magician, a lot of birthday parties, a lot of almost like maybe 4 or 5 shows a week. It's really good money, not huge, but good money for a young
22
guy.
Or whatever,
And when I decided with the actually Lior Manor told me you have to do mentalism and just quit kids. Don't do this and adjust yourself. Just quit kids and do. So I lost a lot of shows at the beginning, a lot of shows. And so the first 6 months, almost no money. I say no. It's painful. It's hard. But
And you want to be like, yes, but don't tell anyone, right? That's what you want to say.
Yes,
you want to say yes, but no photos, right? That's what you want to say.
So, but after 6 months, I started to get the shows, more money, more money, more, this is what I like to do.
Right.
So, at the end, it was worth it. And even if I lost a lot of money at the beginning, I started to do money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was I was struggling a lot. I started to succeed when I was 30 years old. Before, I do magic shows,
Right.
I do some money, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not easy to be a magician. It's not easy to be a mentalist at all. And this is something people forget, because for us, it's fun. We like it, but we don't need to like it. It's our job. We need to work very hard. And what I see from other magicians, they don't like to work hard. It's not that they don't know, they don't like to. They prefer to buy a new trick. They prefer to learn a new trick. But sometimes they need to learn how to market themselves. They need to go and be there and do all those stuff, and they don't like it. And unfortunately, this is what happened in our, not only in magic, by the way.
In everything.
Yeah.
And one of the things about magic is, because it's impossible, like, it's when someone sees it, it's like, wow, you can put not that much work in and get a great reaction and say, wow, I'm done. I did it. This is it,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And across the board, someone hires you through word of mouth. You do the event. They're like, well, you should be on Penn and Teller Fool Us. And you're like, oh, I'm so good. I'm the best in the world. But exactly what you're saying. And there's other industries where, like, I always love comparing magic to acting. Because acting, like, 100 people that all look exactly the same, all stand in line, waiting, they rehearse their lines, they're all going to actors' classes and all this. And then the magicians, we buy 3 tricks, and then we say, yeah, I have a show, hire me, right? I'm around, right? And same thing, you look at marketing and different things like that. A magician says, I put up my Wix site, I'm good to go, right? And well, how does it look? Does it look like you have, and you have to put work into the marketing as well. So I totally agree. And, in magic, one of the challenges is that it is so easy to get reactions and to get something that you need to remember that it is obviously hard work that makes you stand out and makes you, better and different things like that.
And another thing that people forget, today it's very easy to learn magic. You want to learn a new magic, a couple of bucks, or sometimes... and you learn it. When I was young, I remember it took me like 1 week working very hard with someone to get enough money to buy a thumb tip when I was young. So it was totally different. So those days I appreciate magic more than now, because now it's easy. You can buy anything you want. You see it on YouTube, boom, you get it. And this is also something that, I not appreciate too much those days. That it's very accessible to everybody.
You're saying that's a good thing now?
It's not a good thing. No.
Oh, you're saying you don't want it to be so accessible.
It makes people lazy and not appreciate the art of magic.
But it also allows the people that are not lazy.
Yes, in one way. But, for me, I think it's very important for a magician, first of all, to create his own stuff. So now, because everything is out there, why to create? This is what I say. Why do I need to create? Everything is out there. Right. It works. People work with it. So I think it's important. The process of creating new stuff is very important. The process of appreciating a new trick is important. So, for example, until now, when I buy a new trick, I don't read the instructions. I try to figure out how to do it myself. Right. And then I read the instructions. Right. Because I want that something from myself will be installed in this trick.
When you say being creative and creating your own stuff, there's so many different ranges in terms of what creativity means. Do you mean your own method? Do you mean your own presentation? Do you mean your own effect? Do you mean...
The best thing is everything, but of course it's not work like this. Whatever you're good in, be creative. It can be, as you mentioned, presentation. Presentation, actually, you have to be creative.
Right.
This is, for sure. But magic tricks, it's okay. You can buy a trick, or you can see someone and do something similar, but try to create your own presentation, your own personality in the trick. Of course, it's very good to create your own tricks, but not everybody can do it. I understand. It's different kind of creative.
And it's also one of the feelings that I have about it is, sometimes by trying to create your own methods, you're ignoring the shoulders of giants that we stand on, right? Like, magicians read books of other magicians and then write a newer modern version, and then I sit at home and I go, this is better than all of that. And no, of course not. It's like saying come up with your own science, right?
Yes.
And sometimes you have to read the science that's out there to know what you're coming up with.
Definitely.
So I agree with you.
Definitely.
But you're saying presentation is a must.
It's a must.
Presentation is a must.
Yeah.
And then method, it depends on...
Presentation and character. This is also, people forget to find your character on stage. It's so important. It's all about this. People, they don't care about the magic. I don't care about the magic I do. People don't care about the magic. Because let's say this. All the magic we do on stage are great. Really, it works. For some people works better. For some, it's all about you, because people come to see, it's 1 hour show, they come to see you on stage, not the magic you do. Of course you have to choose the right magic to suit your character, but it's about you 100%, the most important.
Totally. So one of the things that I'm always talking about is, we're talking about like people sharing magic secrets online, exposure, but I'm always interested right now in another type of exposure, which is the exposure to magic. If you're a layperson right now and you're just sort of paying attention, you could have seen a dozen clips from Penn and Teller Fool Us, a dozen clips from America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, Israel's Got Talent, Philippines Got Talent, whatever.
Yeah.
You can see incredible magicians performing, and first of all, the thing that makes those magicians stand out is character, obviously, and second is like what you're saying. The effects, we're now seeing a lot of effects. You come out on stage with a deck of cards. I've seen that before.
Yeah.
You come on stage with, I'm thinking of prop. You take a big board and you draw a bowling ball on it. You're like, every cruise ship ever has a magician that draws a bowling ball and pokes the thing out. So we need to be creative, and our characters are the things that need to stand out, because what you're saying, the magic is all mad. I'll leave the show and you go, wow. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
Wow, that was incredible.
The same.
So what can somebody do to start uncovering their character or working on their character?
Okay, so first of all, you have to say the truth to yourself. Be yourself on stage. Never try to be like other magicians that you like or admire. Never. This is important. Be yourself. I want to see a magician, and I want to connect to the magician because who he is, not because he do something like the other magician, or he looks like Copperfield, or I don't know. It's very easy to explain it if we compare it to stand-up comedy. If you go to see a stand-up comedian, you don't remember all the jokes, but you remember the character on stage. You remember who is this person. Mm-hmm. When I say be yourself, you can play, but you need to play character that you create, that is you. Me on real life, I'm very shy, I'm very close guy. On stage, I'm totally different, but it's me on stage. Right. My other me, I don't know. Yeah. So to develop a character on stage, first of all, the most important is experience. Mm-hmm. Don't hide behind the tricks. Mm-hmm. This is also very important. And be honest. Be honest on stage. Mm-hmm. Don't afraid to show your bad parts or the bad things in you. Mm-hmm. Be honest about who you are. And
it also goes back to what you were saying earlier about taking risks. Is all performers, you find yourself looking, on stage doing your act and doing your magic and saying like, this could be more me. This isn't me. And then you have to scrap the trick or redo the line or redo your costume or whatever it is that you're doing to take a risk to go make that step, and not saying, it's not me, but it works. They like it. They don't know the difference.
Yeah,
right?
Of course. Definitely. Even if you do mistake, even if it not work 100%, take this risk. But the most important, actually, if people ask me how to become a better magician, the most important thing, we can talk about theory for hours. Do it. Perform as much as you can. Charity events, everywhere. Just go and perform, because the experience will make you a better magician. Mm-hmm. We can sit here for hours and talk about magic.
Of course.
Both of us will stay the same. But if we go out there and do another show and another show and another show, don't be lazy. Go out there. And for me, what works the most, the past was I did a lot of charity events. A lot of them, like really hundreds. don't think about the money. Think about it. For you, it's good because you will become better magician.
There's two types of the advice, like do it over and over again, that I recommend in that. So the first is performing as much as you possibly can. But the other thing is what you were talking about before is, being lazy and actually sitting and working on it.
Yeah.
Like sitting down and working on the thing
100%.
or editing the thing or watching back your old footage or, those are the active things that make you better, that aren't just go to the magic store and buy another trick and then see how that works. Or
100%.
Or, and one of the reason why I brought that up is I find myself sometimes doing performance after performance after performance, and I'm not getting better. So now I have to say, what's wrong here? Why am I not getting better? And you have to go back to the drawing board and scrap it and try a new thing.
Yes, 100%. And sometimes, actually, you do something again and again and again. You say it's not working. You can decide that, okay, maybe it's not good for me. Mm-hmm. I will try something else. Mm-hmm. It's okay to fail. It's okay. Still, those days, I do, when I create new stuff, I try them. For me, it's like 5 shows. After 5 shows, if I don't feel that it suits me, I will...
Gone for now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will do something else. So, of course, it's okay.
How often are you adding now, like especially as a working professional, how often are you adding new effects to your magic?
Okay, so now in this point of my life, I don't do marketing at all right now, because most of my clients are people that saw me or,
Right. Word of mouth.
So many of them already see me, so I need to create new stuff very, very often.
Right.
Before it was different. In the last 10 years, I didn't
when
need
you were
to
doing
change
a lot of marketing, it was a lot of first people,
yeah.
And then you didn't have to create as much.
Yes.
Right.
So now I change. I try to add almost every month a new trick to my show.
Oh, great.
So, and I see if it's not working, I put something else. But very often, very, very often, I try to put something new. But what I do, I don't change the whole show. I just add one
piece and maybe take one out.
If it works, I take something
right.
out. Yes.
Right. So there's an interesting problem or thing that comes up with comedians, which is a comedian works for 8 years, 6 years developing his act. And then he does his act and he gets a Netflix special and everyone sees his act. And now he sucks again for another 8 years because he doesn't have that, right? And It's interesting because you have effects that you worked on for a decade that stayed in your repertoire, which obviously got the benefit of, like you're saying, hundreds of performances.
Of course.
And then you have new ones for people that love you and are going to watch something that, never mind that has only been performed 3 times, it could have only been performed once. It's definitely not going to have the honed, tested thing. So how does someone deal with that problem that like every new thing is going to be so much worse than the old thing, even if it's a great new addition, right? Every time you add something new to your show, you're going to go, even if it feels good, you're going to go, that sucks, right? Like it still feels like it sucks by comparison.
Yes,
you don't have all the jokes, you don't have all the moments, you don't have...
Definitely. So again, this is why I decided that I keep the original show and I add only one thing. So if 90% of the show is good and 10% is okay, it's okay.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Of course, don't do a new show, totally new show, because it will not be good as show that you do run for 10 years.
Right.
So the answer for this is to add small pieces slowly. If it works, add more and more and more. And then you will have more tricks in your repertoire that you can play with it and combine things from first show, second show, third show.
Right.
I recommend, again, it depends how many show and how beginner you are, but I recommend if you are professional and you need to create a new show, to have 3 different shows in your arsenal and to combine between them and some, to feel what works for you.
Especially if a client hires you 3 years in a row. By the 4th year, you can do the year 1's show.
Yes, but if it's for me, it's a rule. If somebody saw me, if it's the whole company,
different material.
If it's like 100% of the people they saw me, yes, all different material.
Totally different material.
Totally. And usually when you get a second show or third show, it don't happen a month after. It happens 1 year after,
right.
2 years after.
Right.
You have enough time to adjust. So even if you don't have if you don't need to create new show, it's important to add more stuff for the future.
Because even if right now you don't need it, assuming you're at least a little bit good, a client will call you back and say, we want you again.
Yeah.
And that's when
And
you
then,
need...
yeah. Now, what I do, for example, how I will create because if I have a very important corporate show, it's more risky to put new stuff. So what I do in the summer, I take one of the resorts in the north, like family shows that I will never do for nothing, a lot of money, and I run a show every week. This place, I can do whatever I want. I can try new stuff. I don't care if I will not be the best, but and people like it, so it works. So again, even
So I just want to. You find like a resort up north, and you're there once a week.
I charge a lot of money now, but for them, I say I will take nothing. Just. So, of course, they say yes, and I run my show.
And it's the same thing that comedians do. They go to no-name comedy clubs or where they won't be seen, and that's where they try their new material to see if... You just need human beings.
You need crowd.
Yeah, you need people to respond to that.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about scale. One of the aspects of magic right now is you're seeing a lot less of people driving to events with their giant boxes and their big truck and and no matter if people are doing mentalism or magic, there's this pack small plays big, that everyone's excited about, and this idea that I have my briefcase and I have my whole giant show. And it's a challenge because sometimes when you're on a small stage, it's very easy, but when you're on a big stage, it needs to be bigger. You can't just be one guy saying, hi, it's me. Like, you have to do something to make the show play as big as the stage. So with something like mentalism, where like it's all in your head unless you bring out the object or whatever, but even objects like Rubik's cubes and papers, and they're small objects, they don't innately play big. So what do you do to your performances to make them play either this big, or rather to make them modular and be able to play for a small group or a really big group and fill the stage?
Okay. We'll start with the thing that magicians like to take small stuff to carry with them. How do you call it? Like one, I don't know.
Like a box or a briefcase.
I think it's kind of laziness and show off, because it's not supposed to be like this. Unless this is your character and you need it for your show to be minimal. But the reason magicians do this is because to show off to other magicians, I take just a small bag. It's not right. It's not right.
And it's true. No other performers are like, haha, I have nothing. Okay.
Yeah, stand-up comedian. They are.
Right.
But even if you see a stand-up comedian on stage, they have background. They have something there. It's not like nothing. What I do in my shows, because mentalism, it's really it's very small and it's very minimal. I try to add to stage other props. So every show I ask for a couch on stage. And a plant, a light, something else to make more atmosphere. And now in my show, I have on stage, it's not only I stand in one point and I do the show. I have 3 or 4 different places that every time I perform from. One is close to the couch. One is close to the easel with a big. So you need to. In my, I don't know. It's. Every magician is very individual. I need to see the show to recommend what to do.
Of course.
But don't be lazy. And if you need to carry with your stuff, carry with your stuff.
I like that. And I also like a few things. So the first is people are always talking about filling the physical space of the stage. But one of the things that you brought up, which is interesting, is you occupying different areas of the stage, right? So saying... putting different things in different places. So I have to be here to do this and here to do this. Not just walk over to the table, get the marker, walk back over to the main, or walk over to the table, get the cards, come back to the main.
Yeah.
Something is over there. Something is over here. Something is out in the audience. Something is... That's one which I really like.
And by the way, yes, it's important. For example, I put a couch. I ask every show to put a couch on stage. And it's not just because it's nice on stage. I do something with it. Don't put the props just because it looks good.
Right.
Use it. It's have to be a purpose or meaning for it.
That's exactly what I was going to ask, which is, will you bring someone up on stage, multiple people to sit on a couch?
No, one person. It's one piece of the show that they sit. It's like I'm the psychologist and he sits on the couch. There is a meaning for this couch.
Right.
And the light on the side, because now everything is dark.
Okay. It looks like a psychologist. Like
yes.
Cool.
So of course, everything, there is meaning for everything in the show. It's supposed to be. Don't do a show that decide to put something randomly because it looks nice. No.
Is there anything that you do in terms of the ongoing theme of the show that helps it play bigger? And I'll give you an example for what I mean, which is changing up the feelings of what the effect is. So maybe one is a mind reading, maybe one is bigger, one is and having the effects play differently, or is there anything else you do in the performance itself to make it, I want to say, either more memorable or to have like moments that, people often talk about magic shows, a lot of magicians when they write about it, they talk about snapshot moments, right? And really, like, how many moments can we give them so that they don't leave and say, oh, all I remember is this, but maybe if they can remember 3 moments or 5, they're not going to remember our words, they're not going to remember moments. So what do you do to make that not be bigger, but rather be more memorable or noticeable for big groups?
So number 1 is the positions. Every time I stand in a different place.
Right.
Second is the tricks that I do. Sometimes I bring 1 volunteer, sometimes 4. Also make it different. Right. And number 3, the most important, is the variety of the tricks that you do.
Right.
So if you do something with cards and then mind reading that is very small, try to do something bigger. So then I do the knife roulette.
Right.
Or something with drawing. Drawing is good. So yes, it's very important, the variety of the tricks that you choose. But it's also very important to mention, you can do only mind reading and make it big in difference with your personality. Right. At the end, you want that people will be hooked up to you, and you can work with your personality to make those difference in the show. Because sometimes you talk very low and very slow. Right. Sometimes you make the pace very, very fast. It's very important to do it in the show, to change your pace and your acting, let's say, in the show, to bring this difference or variety, not only the tricks.
I like that you highlighted that the variety in the way that you talk about it, speaking quickly, speaking slowly, or whatever, are all different versions of you. It's not, here's me, here's me doing Max Maven, here's me doing... No. It's you when you talk slowly. It's 100%. You when things are intense. It's you when things are light. It's you every time.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a challenge, but we have to make sure that we're not doing our version of someone else, because it will always be worse than that person.
Yeah.
Just to talk about that you part one more time, because we spoke about it a little bit earlier before we talk about the other type of scale. Let's say there's someone listening to this who has heard that advice before, in the sense of they're trying to be their own character, and everyone says, be you. Except the me that exists is the me that's made up of the magicians that I watch, and the TV shows that I watch, and my dad, and da-da-da. So I started thinking, who am I? And nothing comes up. I'm pieced together from my experiences and who I am. So how does somebody try to identify what their truths, when they are kind of little bits of other people? We're trying to not be a version of one guy, right? My impression of Haim, right?
Yeah,
but instead, how do we try to distill the us when it feels like I'm made up of a lot of people?
Okay. Number 1, and this is the most important, on stage, even though you do magic, don't try to impress your audience. Don't try to impress them. Keep it in your mind, because let's say you, as a person, when you go to do shopping, you never try to impress the cashier. Mm-hmm. This is you. I want you to be like this on stage. What I do on stage and what I feel on stage, I feel that the audience are my friends, are my guests at my house. And I want to be with them in eye level. I want them to have fun.
Right.
I don't want them to be... They will be impressed because what you do. But don't try to make them impressed. Don't try to make them to love you. They will love you. If they will love you because who you are, this is what you need. Right. You achieve the best.
Right.
So the most important, don't try to impress. Number 2, and I know it's a problem because many people ask this question, how to be yourself. Take someone to help you. Take a director or a friend.
Right.
Friend that knows you to your shows. And after the show, sit with them and don't be lazy. And, ask them the questions. What do you need to change? What did you like? What you didn't like? This is very, very important to work with other people.
And for things like character, it's it's much easier to say to a friend, what are 3 words that describe me? That's way easier than to say, what are 3 words that describe myself, right? So it's easier to take an outside view of that.
Yeah.
Have you worked with directors for your shows?
Of course.
Every time?
Not every time, but yes. If it's a new show, if it's something very important, yes.
And what role do
but,
you...
Sorry, but it's not exactly director. I work with another magician that is my friend.
Right.
That I ask him to come and give me feedbacks. It's not exactly like, it's not have to be a director because you're not acting. It's important to bring someone that knows you for a long time,
right.
A good friend. If he's a magician, it's much better. It doesn't have to be, but yes. And yes, I work with... Every time I create new stuff until now, I shoot it and I send it to my friends in Israel because they know me better.
Right.
For feedbacks, of course, it's important.
That's awesome. And also, one of the parts of that to bring up is a lot of magicians who find themselves in the center of a community, they choose to keep things secret until it's ready.
Yeah.
And then I do it and then everyone's going to love me. But the problem is you're robbing yourself of feedback every step of the way in hopes that you're going to blow all your magician friends' minds. And I think if we all just let our shoulders go and pretend that all magicians know everything.
Yeah.
We all know everything. I'm not trying to impress you. You're not trying to impress me. Then all of a sudden it becomes much easier to send my act to someone and say, what do you think? And I'm not holding out for 5 years until it's really good and then I'll really surprise them, right?
Yeah.
And I think it plays a big role in magicians sharing their stuff with it. Oh, it's not ready. It's not ready. Oh, I want it to be a surprise when the whole thing is big. But collaborative process, multiple minds working on something.
Yeah,
really important.
I will say something now that magician will not like or mentalist, but if you want to be professional, don't care about other magicians. Don't care about what they're thinking. You will never get money from them unless you sell magic to them.
Right.
Don't try to impress magician. Don't care if they know all your tricks. Be careful if they try to imitate you, if they try to do exactly what you do. Most likely, if you are yourself on stage, they will not succeed to imitate you.
Right.
Nice story, and I will not mention names. When I came to Toronto, nobody knew me here. I did a show in one of the stand-up comedy clubs, and I saw a magician. I didn't know he's a magician, but I saw that he started to take notes. Mm-hmm. And actually, my wife mentioned this to me. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, we'll do whatever you want. And I brought my character, something fresh and new maybe. Yeah. And I'm not talking about the tricks. Jokes, new jokes. 2 months after I went to see him, 50% of the show was exactly the same, even the jokes. Now, my wife she's my manager.
Yeah.
She was crazy, very upset, very, very upset. I told her, don't do nothing. Yeah. Because even though he tried to imitate me, it didn't work. It didn't work. It wasn't the same. It wasn't strong. It wasn't real. The audience didn't feel the connection. And so don't care about what other magicians say. Don't care about if they will copy you. Don't try to impress them. You don't need to. You really don't need to.
I think back to university and I think about doing math and the difference between working it out and copying exactly what somebody else did. And the thing is both times the audience or the teacher or whatever likes it and you get 10 out of 10 or whatever. But then next week when you have to do it again, one of them knows what to do and the other one is like, I have nowhere else to steal from.
Yeah.
And never mind the idea of stealing that it's wrong. One of them, the habit is I'm collecting.
Yeah.
And one of them, the habit is I'm creating. Right?
Yeah.
So I like that you're saying don't worry. Let them try, let them whatever. In next year or 5 years, I'll have a whole new act and he'll still be doing my act from 5 years ago or whatever, right?
Yes.
So I like that. Let's talk a little bit about scale in business. So I know you said your wife is your manager. Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about how somebody can choose to play for bigger audiences, charge more. A lot of the times the advice that we hear, and if this was some of the advice you were going to give, feel free to give it. But I just, the advice that we hear, which is so hard to hear, is like, charge more. Just demand bigger fees. But it's like, you've been doing magic for 3 years and you still suck and you're still doing someone else's act. Like, your act is not a $3,000 act. Like, you can't just charge that because there's like people charge it. So what does one do to make sure that they're going in a direction that means bigger audiences, bigger fees, bigger if that's what they want. But how does one do that isn't just don't be afraid to quote higher numbers and ask other people? Because I can ask the ACC if they want me to perform there, and they're gonna go no, right?
So okay, it's very difficult question to answer because it's very individual, and I think the best answer is feel. If you feel that you're getting better, if you feel the reaction of the people are getting better, if you feel the demand is better, you can charge higher. Don't charge higher because somebody tell you, okay, now you can charge higher because this magician takes more, you take also more. You have to feel it. You have to be aware to yourself. And this is also part of the character when we are ourselves on stage, and it's also it's easier for us to feel what the audience think about us. Right. So if you have a bad show, you'll know. Be honest with yourself, and no, I cannot charge. I need to be better magician. So it's very, very individual, very difficult to answer. Go with your feeling. I also, because I charge a lot, I always say to other magicians, charge more, because I see the amounts that they charge here. Right. It's ridiculous. It's not good for everybody. Right. But only if the magician is okay, is good. Okay. Otherwise, don't charge more. And practice and work more. And again, the money is not. It's not the issue right now. When you want to develop yourself, don't think about the money. You need to live, and this is what you need to care about. But don't think about the money. And this is why I say do a lot of charity or free shows, and don't think about the money. If you go to a certain point that you are professional, and people in the industry and in the market, they know that you are professional and you are there, then try to think about those strategic with money, what to do. But let's say I think 90% of the magicians that I know, they still don't need to think about this. They need to think worried about the act and how to be better. Yes.
And if someone thinks that they're there, if someone thinks like, oh, it's time for me to start worrying about that. It's time for. Is it the kind of thing that, one of the ways that I like to say it is, you only have to worry about it when you have too many requests, and you say, okay, this needs to be more expensive because too many people want this.
Yeah,
right?
This is for sure.
Is that a good way to think about it? Like you have to wait until everybody's knocking at your door, or is there a reason why you would want to raise your fees when you're not overflowed with bookings?
You don't need to wait for this. Of course, if you have many requests, yes, 100%, you need to raise your because you are good. It means that you are good. Right. Or you're very cheap and everybody wants you.
You're at least better than you cost.
Yes. But even if you feel, okay, now I'm very good, I have a very good show, I work very hard, the reactions are very good, I need to raise the amount of money, so do it. Don't be ridiculous and, jump from 1,000 to 5,000. Right. Be reasonable. And you will lose some shows at the beginning, of course, but for the long term, you will get more shows and you will get more money. So it's a risk. Yes, you lose some shows, but think of the 6 months after, or
And what about clients who've hired you years and years in the past, and then the fourth year, that's when you realize that I haven't been charging enough. I'm going to be modest. Instead of 1,000, I'm going to be 2,000. That's a reasonable jump. And then they say, we'd like to bring you in next year. What is it, 1,100? And you say, nah, it's $2,000 this year. And they go, what? Yeah. What do you say? Or if it's a past client, do you increase at a different rate than a new? How do you handle that?
It's a big problem. I still, we struggle with this because I have clients like 10 years ago that they charge nothing. And, it's a problem. I don't have the answer. I tell them that this is my price today because you are an old client and, I will try to help you a little bit. Right. So, of course, you lower your price, but you don't go back to the price that you started with. They need to understand.
That as time goes on, you get better.
You become better. Yes. So, again, trust yourself, be confident, and don't be afraid to say, okay, now I take much higher. They will say, what? They will say, wow. But, it's in the end, you need to be sure that if you charge now $5,000, you're worth it. Mm-hmm. So, and everything in the market went higher and higher. So you also
everything will burgers get more expensive.
Yes,
wine gets more. Whatever you buy, everything is more expensive 10 years from now than it was 10 years ago.
Yes.
So
one of the things that my wife say, I heard that she said to some clients is, that she compared it to flights. So in the past you took Haim as economy, and now it's first class. You have to pay more.
Right,
So if you want economy, I can recommend. And this is also important. If people don't have enough money to pay, and it's okay, I understand it. We try to recommend other magicians.
The economy. Right.
That will suit their budget.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great, and it also gives a little bit of perspective for some people who are listening do really feel that they're at the place that they should charge a higher fee, and then some people I think really needed to hear that advice, which is like, do you have an act that requires you to charge a higher fee? And one way to think about it, and again, not big on comparing people, but you look at incredible magicians and you say, he's got an act. Do I have an act? You try to understand what an act means by looking at that kind of thing. You were talking about your wife doing the marketing for you, and I think a lot of magicians, me included, struggle with this idea that obviously we only have so much time, and I can spend my time emailing clients, but that means I'm not spending my time making new magic. If I'm spending my time adding new magic, it means I'm not spending my time working on clients. Do you think that it is necessary or incredibly valuable to have a whole other person that deals with the business aspect so that you can focus on, actors focus on being actors, comedians focus on being comedians? Or do you think, maybe you used to do them both, now it's just easier, but it's not necessary?
Okay. I think it's not necessary, but it helps. But, the time is one aspect. We don't have time to do everything. But also we have to realize that sometimes many magicians, they're great magicians, but they're not good in marketing or business.
Right.
For myself, I'm very bad in business. I'm very bad in marketing. So I need someone. Even if I have all the time in the world, I'm not good at it. Mm-hmm. So I know that I need someone. I was very lucky that my wife do it, and she do it the best, but you have to be lucky to find the right person to sell you. Mm-hmm. So first of all, think to yourself, can I sell myself? Yeah. I'm good in sales or not, or marketing. Be honest with yourself. Number two, you mentioned the time, the problem with the time, because you need to market yourself, but you need to practice. I think that practice need to take 10% of your time. 90% of your time is marketing and working out. Or like sell yourself, be there, travel, go, show yourself. This is more important. The practicing, because I tell you why. Because we will practice anyway. We like it. We love it. We will talk about magic. We will think about magic, but it needs to be very limited. Like 10% of your time, 90% of your time, all the rest. This is how business works.
So for a professional performer, a professional entertainer, you think that overall they should probably be spending more of their time focusing on marketing and less of their time worried about
much more. Like again, 90% of the time marketing.
Wow. And is that because...
But one moment. When I say marketing, it's not only marketing. It's also, think what you do about your dress or clothes. Think about many other stuff, but the magic, the process of practicing magic, if you are professional, only 10% of your time.
Is that because of some of the views that you were saying before, where it's like, the first chunk of your magic career is being good at magic, and then the next chunk is selling yourself? You know what I mean? Is it because of that, or do you think like once you're professional?
Yeah, no, it's not because of this. If you're a professional, you need to work, you need to create new stuff, but the most important, if you look at it as a business, the most important is the marketing.
Right.
You are the product. As a magician, you are the product. Okay? And, take McDonald's, for example. It's garbage. They don't think about the food. They think about the food, but just a little bit. They think how to market it, how to sell it, how to, all the rest. So if you're a professional and you consider yourself or what you do as a business, it's all the rest. The magic, it's very little. Now, and if you're professional, most of the time, the practice will be in real shows. So the shows that we do, it's also part of the practice. So it's also the time. Right. So, think, and I will say think 100% of marketing. Because if you are good magicians, now think if you want to become better and better and better, just marketing. Because if you do good marketing, you will get more shows. If you get more shows, you will become better.
Right.
This is the
right. Let's talk a little bit about what that means for marketing. So you mentioned obviously clothing. I know that things like, website and online presence, and also, you were mentioning like being in the places where someone finding out who you are or what you do is a good thing, and it could be valuable. And if you're saying 90% or 100% of your time is marketing, what does that mean for you? What are the things, if you wake up in the morning, I don't have a show today, are you doing something, or are you being very happy you don't have a show today and waiting until the day you do have a show? Okay,
so again, this is very important. It's different if you're professional or not professional. Right. So let's talk now about professional. If you're professional already, so the most important, I don't believe in marketing like website or something. You have to have a very good website, of course, but in the past we used to do phone calls to companies to sell. I don't think it works now because so many magicians, somebody wants a magician, they go online, they find Google someone. Right. As a professional, try to bring more repeat clients or people that saw you that they will recommend. So the most important is to, if you did a show, to call them or to email them, to how do you say?
Ask for a referral?
Not to refer, but
to rehire.
Be in touch with them.
Oh, right,
be in touch with your clients from time to time. Try to keep them with you. Try to offer them new shows or new deals or whatever. But again, it's very individual. If nobody knows you, of course, it's very important. You will be in Google and they will find you there. So it depends where you are. But marketing, it's everything. And for me, those days is just to be there. People need to, because people see you, they love you, everything is okay. After a couple of days, they forget. They have other things. Yeah. So if you're there, if you do some TV appearances, if you do some big star, I don't know, whatever, try to be there as much as you can. Instagram, Facebook, all those stuff that, for me, I'm old for this, but it's very important. Right. It's very, very important to be there as much as possible. And to be there, it's difficult because in our nature, we are lazy. We say, no, what? I will go there now. What will happen if I...
What, I'm going to post on Facebook a photo of me? Who cares?
No, boom, 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 boom,
for
as
sure.
much as you can.
For sure. And one of the ways I think about it is if I can be the go-to magician for 10,000 human beings, then I have a career, right? Now, most of them aren't going to need a magician for 7 years or 5 years, but you have to be front of mind for some of these people. They have to know that you're available, that you're still doing shows, that there's new packages.
And just remind them that you exist.
Totally.
Sometimes that's all you need to do.
You were talking about that's the approach for somebody who is already doing, that's sort of like upkeep.
It's already, yeah.
So what about somebody who has recently decided to jump into this industry and they're performing as much as they can, they're making no money from the shows that they're performing because they're just everywhere and anywhere that they can get out, but they do want to start getting into the real world? Is there something specific do you recommend, a course of action, or everything? Google, emails, Facebook, everything?
First of all, everything is good, but I tell you something I used to do and it works a lot. My wife called to companies that didn't know nothing about me, and she offered them when they have a break or a meeting or something, I will go to their office and I will do 15 minutes for free, just for fun. It works a lot, because when people see you, if you're good, when people see you, boom, they will hire you.
Right.
This is the best way to sell yourself, because you can say whatever you want, but when they see it. So I did almost every day, 2 or 3 meetings.
Boom, really?
Yes, every day.
Every day you went to multiple offices.
Now, most of the time they say no. You need to convince them why to take you, even if it's free.
And what percentage of the people that you went to their office hired you for a big event?
Big percent. I don't.
More than 50?
Yes. At certain point, sometimes they hire you a year after, because
right, at some point.
First of all, remember this: it's not that you sell. First of all, it's very personal. When you do a meeting, even with 5 people, they have a break, they have a meeting. You do something, it's become very personal. Very personal. You become kind of their friend because you came to their place now. It's different from do a meeting in restaurant. You go to their place. So now the
It's like they've welcomed you into their home.
yes, and it's become now more personal.
Right.
You leave the cards. They remember this. It's unique for them. It's different from them. So I think more than 50% will hire you if they invite you to their place.
Wow. The reason I asked is because I was going to assume that the answer was like 30%. And I was going to say how amazing it is, or how, how you sort of have to go and do 2 every day and 4 every day. But it seems like a lot of the people did. But one of the things that you mentioned was that over time, right? So not that year. You do one and then the guy says, okay, I know who you are. And then 3 years from now, they go, you know what? We know a mentalist. He came into our office, right?
Yeah. And it's definitely something that people will not forget. Again, if you are good. Because if you go there and you do something like very bad
or average or whatever.
Yeah, you have to do something good. So you have 15 minutes to do your best, and do your best. Don't just come and do
anything.
Okay, let me show you something. No, do your best.
Right.
Yeah,
that's interesting. And I've never heard anybody talk about going into the office for businesses and not charging for it, and hoping that that's for the future. And it's also something to think about, where whether that's a strategy or it's another in-person strategy, if you're a professional entertainer, you probably are busy only at night. Right? You probably not always, but you probably have most of your shows and most of your things only happening in the evening, which means you have your daytimes to not only like send emails and things, but also get creative with the types of marketing you're doing. Maybe this is good to call. Maybe you want to just go knock on doors and say, hey, I'm a magician. I want to do 10 minutes of magic for you. Do you want free Again, I'm making that up. But
and also be creative in this part as well.
The fact that we have our days available to be creative, and the thought is exposure, and it's not exposure like it usually is. Usually people say, oh, come do your show except for exposure. You say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But instead, this is you're deciding exposure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to call and see if they want me to come for free for my exposure, because I have nothing else better to do on this Thursday.
This is very important point that you mentioned. Because if somebody asks you, come for exposure, say no. No. Because they will not appreciate you.
Right.
But if you offer them, why not? I
had an incident actually where somebody hired me I did a volunteer performance for a charity that I really, really cared about. So I was okay with it. But, I had asked, I said not asked, but I'm looking at the event. I'm like, you probably paid the guy who brought in the stage. You probably paid the guy who's doing the lightings. You paid the guy who's doing the sound. You're asking me to volunteer. I had some history with them. So I said, okay. And then they printed the flyers. And they spelled my name wrong. And I called her and I said, had you paid me my fee, you would not have spelled my name wrong.
Wow.
Right? And I think that's true. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm. But had she been paying me however much money, she would have said, what's his name exactly?
Yeah.
Right? She would have said... And then they printed a plaque with the wrong name spelled thing. Yeah. And then I said, I'm not going to take your plaque. Thank you, but I'm not taking a plaque with my name spelled wrong. And then she sends me an email a week later. She says, we have the new plaque at the office if you want to come pick it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to come pick it up. If you want, you can mail it to me. I'm not coming to pick up the plaque. Thank you very much. Yeah, I agree with you. They don't necessarily respect you, particularly if they are saying like, you know what? You know how we'll save money? On the entertainer.
Yeah.
That's how we'll save money, on the entertainment.
Yeah. So, but again, if you offer them to do a show for the charity, it's totally different because now you give something.
I really like that. I wanted to ask you about the TV show.
But before, can I mention something that
anything.
I think it's very important? We talk about marketing and be there and don't be lazy. One of the things that I see a lot, and really I don't like it, is I see magicians, they do a show, and after 1 hour they say, okay, you hire me for 1 hour, we go. Or 2 hours and we go. Never. If you go to event and you don't have another event, stay as much as you can. Don't look at the watch. Because if you're already there, you have exposure. After the show, try to sell yourself, talk with people, don't disappear. And I see a lot of magicians say, okay, you hired me for 2 hours, and go. Stay 1 more hour. Why not? What else you can do? You go, nothing. Stay there because you're already there. You have the people. You have opportunity to show yourself more, to talk with people. Until those days, every time I do a show, it's very important for me to stay. First of all, for myself, because I get more connections. But number two, it gives a very good feeling for the client. We stay more. It's like, most likely you will get a tip because of this, because you give something extra. Yeah. They will give you extra. So it's very important.
So questions about that. So the first question is, you mean like if the show is an hour, the show is still an hour, but you hang out afterwards?
100%.
And when you hang out afterwards, do you make sure that you have magic you can do for people when they come up to you, or is it that's the show, let's talk human to human now, because that was what that was?
Yes, I have very little. I have 2 or 3 different tricks in my pockets already with me. I don't try to do it unless they ask you. If the reason I put the tricks here, because if somebody will ask me, can you show me something else? Then I show. I prefer to talk. I would prefer to get closer to them as a friend and not as because I don't try to sell myself after the show. I want to be your friend now.
You just talk, hi, how are you?
And people want to ask you questions, how you did it.
Of course.
So this is the best mingling is after the show and not before. When I don't do close-up anymore or walk around, but when I used to do it, I prefer to do it after the show always, not before.
Because people already know who you are and they love you. And I love that. The other thing that I wanted to mention about that is something that a guest of the podcast, who I'm actually speaking to later today, but a guest of the podcast, Brian Keith Miller, we were talking about restaurant magic a while ago, and he said something very smart, which is restaurant magic is them paying you to market yourself. And I always thought about that because it's so interesting, because every table you go, oh, thank you, and you give them your business card. And that's what you just said made me think of, which is like someone is already paying you to be at the event, and right now they're only paying you to entertain.
Yeah.
Could they also be paying you to hand out your own business cards, right? Which is another way to think about it, to say, not I'm staying, they paid me for an hour, but I'm staying for 2 hours. Oh, I'm so great, I'm above and beyond. But instead, they paid me to market myself. Why would I leave? Right? It's like if you got a billboard on the side of the NBA court, and after the first quarter you say, nah, let's go home. Take the billboard home. Right?
Exactly.
So I like that, and a reason to stay longer is to say, well, you think from every gig maybe 1 more person books me or 2 more person, and if you can up that number by whatever, a little tiny percent, it makes a huge impact over the course of a year and a career and different things like that.
And again, as I mentioned before, this is me. I treat my audience as my guests. So if you imagine you bring guests at home for dinner, after dinner they don't eat and go, right? You're still talking.
Right.
This is the same thing.
Right.
You finish the show. If you have opportunity, talk with them.
And it also comes back to what you were saying before about not trying to impress them, right? So you're staying afterwards to not be like, haha, I'm so great, come talk to me, I'm the star. You're not doing that. It's the opposite. You're staying afterwards to be like, I'm a human being, and so are you, and let's talk like humans, right? It's not, come, I'll sign your face if you want me to. It's the opposite. It's like, no, why would I sign? No, let's talk. What do you do, right? Tell me about yourself.
Don't approach, wait for them to ask you to come to them. Don't, finish the show and just go there. Just stand it aside. People will come to you for sure.
So you do. So after the show, you're not mingling. You're sort of just standing around and waiting.
But very
people
quick. It's
people
very quick.
Right.
Like I don't need to wait. Sometimes I go out and boom.
And then they're running towards you, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the TV show that you put together, which is one that I've seen on YouTube, which is the only place I've ever seen, or clips online. But it's fantastic and it's amazing. And I know, because I work a lot with Dave Curran, that he told me that it was something that was really impactful for you, for your career, to have this kind of starring on a show. So talk to me a little bit about how it came to be. And then if somebody else is trying to, we're in this era now of like, every magician has a Netflix show. Every magician is trying to get their Facebook Watch show and YouTube series and whatever. And there's maybe a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. So I'd like to hear a little bit about how it came to be, and then how it helped, or how it was a risk.
First of all, it was a big risk, and this is the second risk I wanted to talk about. But before this, I did this show about 10 years ago. It was 13 episodes that we sold to Kanye West. Now it's airing in 25 or 26 different countries. A&E, I think. A&E, they bought it. But the most important thing is to mention is that today everything is different. The TV and all those things are totally, as you mentioned, people don't watch cables. Everything is online. So I'm not sure that the tips that I will give you will be the same now. For example, right now I try to sell a new show. It's totally different process.
Right.
What I did then, I took all my money, I have everything, and we shoot a pilot. I was in a point that I said that if it will not work, I quit magic. I do something else. Yeah, like this. Because, no more money. It's not working. Right. It's not working. So it was before the kids born. So, I was able to take this risk. So we spent a lot of money to do the pilot. I brought a director from Israel because it was easier for me to work with him.
For sure.
Very good cameramans, the best that we could. And now we send it to over 60 people, broadcasters and offices and wherever.
Oh, you approached 60 different people.
We just send them the DVD.
Oh, right.
Send everybody. Now, I think we were lucky. It was very good pilot, very, very good pilot. I was very lucky that maybe 10 days after we sent everything, people from Can West called us and said, we want a meeting. We came to the meeting and we're sitting in front of I don't remember his title, but one of the tops, and we see like 20 DVDs on his table from the pilot. So he said that we send to many people and everybody send it to him because they need to decide. Great. So very fast he said, it's a great show. I want the show. We need to decide how to do it. Everything happened very, very quick and we got a deal. We got a deal for 13 episodes. It was 6 months of working to create this show. It was amazing.
And what's the name of it?
Goldmine.
Goldmine. Yeah.
One more, Goldmine. Actually, I will send you a link to watch the whole episodes if people want to watch it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was 10 years. It's 10 years ago, so it's not.
But there's still, by the way, it is actually fantastic. I've watched clips of it, and I'm like, I don't know how he could have done this. This is amazing, Yeah. And it really is comparable to some of the TV magic that you're seeing right now in the sense of looks just as impossible. It looks fantastic. So it's still great even 10 years later.
Yeah, it's the only thing that I will change is the pace. That's all. What is very important in this show that I succeed and I'm very happy about is I put you see my character, my real character,
right.
And it works very well. Now today it's totally different. You have all this YouTube. Everybody can do show by themselves, very cheap, and put it on YouTube, and maybe it will work or not. Netflix become very popular now. What I'm doing right now, I created a new pilot for totally new show. In my opinion, it have to be different because now all the magic shows are
all look the same.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
They do magic mostly in the streets, blah blah blah. What is the name of the show on Netflix? It's actually a very good
Justin
one.
Willman, Magic for Humans.
Yes. What I like about this show, for example, again, it's the same concept.
Yeah.
Is character.
For sure.
He's a very nice person. This is why it's very good.
And he's also, one of the things that I love highlighting about Justin Willman, who we've had on the podcast, he's fantastic.
Okay,
but
he's great.
One of the highlights that I have about him is in magic, we're often performing what we feel is modern, and then our characters are modern. But because we're reading books from 60 years ago and using lines and moves from 60 years ago, the audience, something feels off, right? And when you listen to him talk, it feels like he was actually born in this generation, and that he doesn't have the ear of an 80-year-old in his ear or something like that. That's one of the things I really like about him and about the show. And one of the issues right now that we see a lot in, I don't want to say Netflix, but across the board in terms of magic TV shows being produced, is sometimes the people that are starring in the shows are not ready. And one of the things I mean about not ready is not necessarily the methods, because you hire a team to help you with the methods, but not ready in terms of the performing ability. And most importantly, it's something that we've spoken about a lot, is the character. And if your character is unclear, and if you've been doing magic for 4 years and your character is a wonky, wobbly character, then no one will connect with the show because it's just like a show on stage is they're connecting with you. The people care about people.
Yeah.
So if your character is janky, no matter how great the magic is, it's hard to watch. And the reason I brought that up is this idea that like now that anybody can do it and you don't have to put your whole life savings into shooting a pilot, one of the worries is that it's too early, right? Is that you might not be ready to make a 20-show series to go debut somewhere and that you wish you had waited 5 more years.
Yes, and as you mentioned, if I mentioned before that character on stage is very important, on TV it's much, much more important.
Right.
Because on TV they are face-to-face to you. You need to put your character much, much, much stronger than in live show. So yes, and you're right. Many and most of the magicians are not ready, and TV it's totally different thing. It's not show. It's not even if you are good on stage, doesn't mean that you are good on TV. It's totally different. For TV, you need a very good director. You need someone, the consultant. Very important to bring good consultants. When we do magic, when we create stuff, we are very individual. We think about the ideas. We think what to do. It's very important, especially on TV, to consult other people because we don't know what to do on TV. We're not professional on TV. There are other people that are much more professional, and you need to know how to listen to other people.
We're in a time where everybody is creating, whether it's creating content, creating a new TV show. It feels like everyone's launching their own company, everyone's launching their own charity, everyone's launching their own.
And the most important, everybody wants to succeed very quick.
Of course, everyone wants to be the first and the best and the quickest.
Yeah.
And some of those people would be better suited to be the vice president of a company that already exists instead of starting their own company, right? And the reason that I'm bringing that up is not to say any magician shouldn't be a magician. Everyone should be, well, if you want to be a magician, do magic. But that we can't build these sort of things alone. And that's the thing that we keep visiting in this, which is like, you have magic that you're trying to showcase. Send a video clip to your friends that you trust and to hear and to tell you what they think. Have friends come to the show and tell you if you are not doing a good version of you, right? If you're producing a show, don't say, I am so smart, I can figure out all the methods.
Never.
I have a full library.
Yeah.
You bring in a team of people to help complete that for you. And just in general, we're very lucky in the magic world to be not only often surrounded by other magicians, but also it's very easy to connect with people who are the best in the world at magic. It's very easy. We're one email away. I learned from this podcast, very easy. Like, people don't say no. Like, sure, right? So it's very easy to make contact with incredible magicians. And when you're working on projects like that, again, not to hide what you're doing, but instead showcase, share it so that, again, it's not about you versus the other magician. It's you and the rest of the world. And you want to team up with the best magicians so that the rest of the world can see the best finished product.
Yes, it's important. One point that is very important, and this is especially for beginners, but not only, is because people want to succeed very quick and they think that if they will shoot something, they are stars or something like this. Forget about this. Hard work is the most important thing. And I think, what I teach my kids, they're still young, but I teach them if they want to do something, to be a lawyer. It's very important to start from cleaning the office of other lawyers. It's very important to do those jobs. When you do magic, do practice with, even if you want to be a mentalist, you need to know how to perform in front of kids. You will learn a lot. You need to do card tricks and sleight of hands, even though in mentalism you don't need it so much. You need to know everything and to at least to experience and to learn this. And the process, you will not become a star very quick. You need to work very, very hard. And this is, if there is one tip I need to give to other magicians, is to work very hard and be patient.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you keep bringing up in this, which I think is really true, is laziness, right? And whether, if you hear the word laziness, it feels like, a stab in the heart, or, you can phrase it another way. You can say like, complacency, right? And like being very comfortable with the norms and the way things are and not wanting to take risks. Like, all of that is the same thing as laziness. And it becomes obviously clear that not only the people that work harder succeed more, but it's also the people that, surround themselves with other people that work hard. And you did a type of magic and then decided that you did not want to do it. And then you started doing dubs and decided that you did not want to do it. And you could have very easily done mentalism for a bit and gone, let's try ring magic or coin tricks or whatever, right? But this is what you were excited about, and that's because of risk taking and not being afraid to put work into a new area and a new thing. So that's you tried multiple aspects before you found the thing. And it's something that I personally struggle with, where, you know, I look at my magic and I go, I don't like my character. And now it's like the big risk is to go on stage and be a completely different person and try that, or to go on stage and to, you know, one of the things that I worry about a lot is I think that I'm, it's something that you brought up, which is like not trying to win over your audience, right? I think I try really hard on stage. It's another thing where it's like, you know, it's about being comfortable to go on stage and say, you know, today I'm not going to be I'm not going to do that, right? And today, and those are taking risks, and those are, you're not being lazy, and write out a second version of the script where you solve all the problems before. So I think all of that comes down to like working, not being lazy.
You mentioned scripts, and this is a point that's also very important for me to speak about this. About script, I think for some magicians, they have to use scripts. Some magicians, it's better not to use scripts. If I don't use scripts. I never wrote what I'm going to say. Just initials or some notes. But because I improvise a lot in my shows. But again, this is who you are, your character. Some people don't know how to improvise. I don't know how to read script. It's really very bad. But very important, even if you do work with scripts, try part of the show to improvise. The reason it's important to improvise is because this is the best way to connect to your audience. I see a lot of magicians that they read scripts, they do it very well, but there's no connection with the audience.
And they can feel it.
The
audience can totally feel it. They know when you're just blah, 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 in autopilot mode, they can feel it. And one of the things about scripts that I'm just asking to seek more is, even though you don't use scripts, you've done the act so many times, you find yourself saying the exact words at the exact moments, right?
More than this, I can write for you the script of my show.
And the reason I bring that up is because one of the things that I argue very strongly is that all the best magicians, all the best performers use a script. The question is how they made the script. And you are someone who made the script live on the stage, and now you use the script that you made. Some people are very fortunate that they can sit with a glass of whiskey by the fire and write a script. I can't do that. I need to be on the stage in front of the people to at least make it make sense. Then I can go home and write it down. Right? Or if I come up with something and it's horrendous until I try it, and then I know if it actually is real. So one of the things that I wanna challenge about that is, it's not that you don't have a script, it's that you make it differently than writing everything by hand or typing it out or different things like that. Because a lot of people feel that improvise means you can say whatever, do anything, right? No. You know what? Maybe today on stage you'll say something completely different than you said yesterday, but that's not really what it is. You're saying kind of the same thing. If you phrase it differently, or if there's a moment that you want to capture, that's fine, but it's the same lines, it's the same script, it's the same idea. So we're heading towards the end of the episode, and there's a few different wrap-up questions that we talk about to sort of put the whole thing together. So the first is sort of a question about modernity, which is, it's 2019, and we talked a little bit about so many different things changing, television shows changing, like, and how that's different now. We talked about exposure of magic, both exposure to the methods as well as exposure to just seeing a lot of magic. What's something in the 2019 or 2018 world of magic that you like that's changing, and something that you don't like that's changing?
So what I like is the pace of the shows, and the pace of what we do is very quick.
Right.
The way that the world is open to us, and we saw so many magicians. In one point is bad because people already saw everything. So what we do now on stage, in other way, it's easier for us to show our personality.
Explain what we do and
actually to show exactly that we are our personality, because now it's totally not about the tricks, it's about who we are.
Right.
But yeah, mostly the pace and that everything.
And that's a good point, actually, because like it's great that Shin Lim win America's Got Talent, but it's even better for me
course,
because
it's exposure.
I'm not Shin Lim.
Yeah.
Shin Lim sits quietly and does his magic. I don't sit quietly. I talk, and you'll know that that's different when you watch me.
What he did, it's amazing for us. And if you see another magician that succeed, it's even your competition. If he succeeds,
amazing.
because now people talk about this. There is more awareness to magic now than before.
Totally.
So it's perfect for us. Unfortunately, there are a lot of bad magicians that it makes it bad for us.
Right.
So our job is to help them to become better, and not let them do this because now you. So it's very important. Yeah, the magic community that now is very open and very very easy to to get together or access.
For sure.
It's very important to help each other. It's very very and especially talk about the professional people that works. So this is one. The accessibility is very good in those modern days.
What don't you like?
What I don't like is that people are lazy, became laziest and laziest more and more. I don't like that it's very easy to get whatever you want. I don't like that people want to be successful very quick because they see someone that succeed, they buy the trick and they think that they can do the same.
Right.
So this is what I don't like. But it's compared to real. It's the same thing in real life.
And it's also something that's happening in every category of real life, right? Like someone goes to school for 10 years and then Google decides that you no longer need an undergraduate to work at Google.
Yeah.
And now the guy who sat at home learning his own coding beats out the guy who spent $100,000 getting a degree.
Yeah.
And that's the way that it is. It's 2019, right? So I agree with you. It poses challenges, but it also, I think, poses opportunities sometimes where somebody who might have tried to do magic and then said, screw this, I don't want to do this, now can find resources that they can learn at their own pace. And one of the things that you said that earlier that I really liked is we were talking about creativity and whether it's like presentation or method or whatever. And you said like, whatever you're good at creating, do more of that. And that's what there should be creativity. And I think if people want it to work, it allows them to work in the areas that they want, right? So I can find effects and work on my own premise or whatever, right? But I agree with you that it's breeding people to not work harder on these sort of things.
You mentioned before, and also something, reviews. When you want to improve your show, you bring friends to tell you what they think about the show. So one tip is don't bring friends because friends will not be honest.
They'll lie, for sure.
Bring people that don't know you. Bring people, don't ask them to do a review, ask somebody else to write a review. And accept it because people will write also bad stuff. Learn. It's important to learn from the bad stuff and don't be upset and say this is the most important because this is the real thing.
Totally.
And now it's easy. It's very easy to.
And particularly if you start hearing people say the same thing more than once, that's when you know that it's really a problem, right?
Yeah.
One person says, "Oh, I didn't like the way he did this." You say, "I don't care."
Yeah,
when 5 people say it, you go, "Okay, this is something that I have to change." The next question is the endless chain. So in order to keep the podcast going on forever, each guest recommends another guest that we have to have. So who is someone who you think would be really, really great for this?
Anyone
kind of
from
a magician or mentalist or something like that. And you can name a few in case I've interviewed some, but
Lior Manor definitely.
That'd be fantastic.
It's amazing, really.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Nimrod Arel from Israel, great mentalist.
Also mentalist.
Yeah. Amazing. Leo Shad, if you want to talk about success, this is the guy.
For sure.
And he's really have a lot of good tips. Who else? Oh, my best friend, Amir Lustig. I don't think you know him. He's very, very funny guy. Very funny. He's good.
But that's great. Amir Lustig.
Yeah.
Amir
so
Lustig.
those 3, there are more, but those are...
Fantastic. Those are 3 that I haven't interviewed, so that's
and
awesome.
If you need help to get them,
Absolutely. Easy. That's usually the rule is... recommend someone who you can actually put us in contact with.
Easy.
The last section is favorite part. So we've been talking for like an hour and a half and we've gone through a whole bunch of different topics, and there's something called a take-home point, which is people have been listening, they've been doing their laundry or something, and we want to distill the episode into one idea or one point that people can take home that they can resonate with, that they can remember the episode. And we'll both mention something. So for me, the thing that really, really stuck out to me is not being lazy. It starts to become really obvious that so many of the solutions to our problems in magic have to do with just sitting down and doing the thing, or like you mentioned, going out and offering to perform for free in unique places, or being creative to come up with those opportunities. And a lot of that is just not being lazy and not. I always joke about magicians trying to get booked, that they like make a website and they sit with their arm and they're like, where no one's coming to my website, right?
Yeah.
And so I agree. It's about not being lazy, and I think that rings true in all areas, whether it's marketing or whether it's the actual performance. That the more work you put in, the better it is. So that was a big highlight for me. What was something for you?
So in about the same. So I said, perform as much as you can. Mm-hmm. Don't ask how to do it. Just do it.
Right.
Don't ask what should I do. Do it. I want to perform now. What should I do? Okay, I go to the street. I go to the restaurant. Do it. Without ask so many questions. Sometimes we have to keep it very simple as much as we can. But so just perform as much as you can. The most important.
I love that, and I think particularly the way that you separated it into thinking about different phases of your career, and like really, if you're not at the place where you're like, I'm a professional, then you're just trying to get hours on stage. You're just trying to be there as much as you can. I thought that was...
and this is part of marketing, by the way. If I go to do restaurant, it's not magic, it's marketing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting point, because you were talking like 10% magic, 90% marketing.
Exactly.
That marketing could be magic, but it's exposure.
Yeah.
It's, people seeing you. That's fantastic. The last thing is, if people are interested in learning more about you, about maybe products or the show, where can people go to find some more information?
I will send you a link for the TV show.
Fantastic.
I will send you my website.
Fantastic.
You can read everything. And email me, whatever, Yeah, I don't know. Everything is online. And the product that, I sell and I'm very, very proud of is Cryptext, that many magicians use.
Fantastic.
And I think kind of a must now. I have another product that I sell, but I sell only after I do lectures. So I do lectures from time to time. I prefer to keep it very personal and not to sell it all over, because I don't want that everybody will do it. It's very important also to listen what I have to say about this product, because those products are products that I work for a long time, and my perspective is important, because I teach also how to suit it to your personality and how to do it different. Yes, and more than this, maybe in the future I will, because I create a lot. I create a lot of tricks. I have a very close group of friends that we change ideas and we talk about. But in the future, I will release product, but not close, not now.
Fantastic. We've got something to look forward to. And with that, thank you so much for coming to join me on this episode. This was awesome. And again, for me, which is something that I mention all the time, but I'm very lucky to be able to interview people and seek the questions for the answers that I'm looking for at this moment, right? So it was really good, because I felt like a lot of your answers, a lot of responses were things that felt like you were talking directly to me, which is great, because now I've got more stuff to work on and some advice to move on to the next level. So thank you so much for joining us on the episode.
Thank you.
And of course, a big thank you to everybody who listened at home and for joining us to listening to, I don't know however long we were talking, but I hope you learned something. I know I did, and I will see you all next Thursday. Peace. Well, there you go. I hope that you liked it, and I hope that you learned something. Take a moment to think about where you are in your magic career and really what that means for what goal you should be laser focused on. Are you trying to perform a lot? Are you trying to charge more? Are you trying to create a lot? How often are you adding new magic? So just think about what your goals are for where you are in your magic career, and I hope you take some action, and I will see you next Thursday. And if you're at Magi Fest, come say hello.